For the last decade, a popular assumption has taken hold that the rise of renewable energy is making the Middle East irrelevant. In this view, as wind and solar power expand, the region's influence over the world stage should naturally wither away. But the statistical reality tells a different story. The Middle East still maintains a hold on nearly half of all global oil reserves, a physical asset that remains at the center of the world's energy system. While Western investment pours into green technology, the global economy's physical foundation, from container ships to heavy manufacturing, still relies on fossil fuels. This makes the region's stability more critical to the global market today than it was 30 years ago. The true source of this influence isn't just the oil itself, but the geography of how it moves. The world depends on specific maritime choke points, narrow sea routes that function as the arteries of international trade. When a conflict breaks out near these routes, it creates an immediate bottleneck. The flow of goods doesn't just slow down, it stops, forcing thousands of vessels to reconsider their journey. The consequences travel across the ocean instantly. Shipping companies are forced to reroute entire fleets around continents, maritime insurance costs spike, and the resulting delays affect the delivery of everything from raw materials to consumer electronics. Geography ensures that no war in this region stays local. Because these narrow passages are linked to the global economy, any disruption here triggers a systemic crisis that reaches every corner of the planet. This physical vulnerability changes the nature of energy. It is no longer just a commodity to be traded, but a tool for geopolitical leverage. When the safety of a tanker is in question, the stability of the nation waiting for that fuel is also at risk. We see this most clearly at the gas pump. When supply routes are threatened, market prices react immediately. This volatility translates into domestic inflation, placing direct economic pressure on households thousands of miles away from the conflict. This creates a way for nations to exert influence without ever engaging in a direct firefight. By simply threatening the movement of energy, a state can destabilize a rival's economy and force political concessions. For years, the United States has prioritized shifting resources to the Pacific to manage China's rise. But when Middle Eastern crises erupt, resources are redirected. This creates a strategic gap. Time and effort spent on regional stabilization is capital lost for the Pacific theater. In global politics, attention is a finite resource. When a superpower is forced into a cycle of crisis management in one region, its ability to project power in another is diminished. The long-term risk to American dominance isn't a single military defeat, but a gradual erosion of its focus. Endless involvement in regional tensions drains the bandwidth required to maintain a unipolar world. While the U.S. is caught in this cycle, China is pursuing a different path. They avoid the costs of military intervention entirely, instead using the resulting instability as an opening to build economic ties. Beijing moves into the space left behind, signing multi-decade energy deals and funding massive infrastructure projects. They seek long-term economic integration, not short-term political wins. These projects, built under the Belt and Road Initiative, create physical, permanent dependencies. When a country relies on Chinese-built railways and ports to move its goods, its political alignment begins to shift toward the source of its infrastructure. China is entirely bypassing traditional military rivalry. By engineering a web of financial and industrial reliance, they are securing influence through the very fabric of a country's economy. From a macro perspective, we are seeing the breakdown of the world order that has existed since the end of the Cold War. The system where a single power set the global agenda is fracturing under the weight of these economic and strategic shifts. We are entering a multipolar reality. Power is becoming decentralized, moving away from a single center in Washington and toward multiple nodes of influence in Beijing, Riyadh, and Tehran. Regional powers now recognize their position. They manage the physical valves of the world's energy supply and sit atop the most critical trade routes on Earth. They are no longer just participants in a global system. They are the ones who can decide if it functions. The conflicts we see in the headlines are not isolated tragedies. They are the friction points of this transition, the visible signs of a global system reorganizing itself in real time. Ultimately, the direction of the 21st century won't be decided by who has the largest army. It will be decided by whoever controls the movement of energy, the weight of the debt, and the flow of supply chains.